You're watching the Sporting Time Show with host Doug Thompson. Sponsored by Jewelry Barn and Pawn Shop. For the athletes, for the game.
Good evening and welcome into the Sporting Time Show. I am Doug Thompson.
I'm Joe Brunk.
Thank you for joining us tonight. Well, Joe, it is not Super Bowl Sunday.
No, we're quite a bit from Super Bowl Sunday.
It was a week ago.
Yeah.
But, you know, Saturday night after the show, were you anticipating the big Super Bowl Sunday event? Did you have a good time? Did you watch it or did you not care?
I mean, we watched it. I mean, usually Super Bowl Sunday is like my big to-do. Like usually I have a big old party. I've got this huge like fryer that I'll break out just for the Super Bowl, right? But the people that I've usually done that with are no longer here. They've moved on. They're all, living other places.
Okay, no more fryer.
So we didn't really do that. So it was just me and the lady just hanging at the house, watching the game.
Well, and it was a great game.
It was a really good one.
Which sometimes they aren't, but it was a lot of fun. We don't have that to look forward to tomorrow. We do not have that.
I mean, the XFL's kind of in full swing now, so that's
true.
We still have football in our lives if we want it.
What is the saying? Something about there's always a good time to have football. There's never not a good time to have football.
Sure, Doug.
We will make up something that makes sense.
If that saying works for you, Doug, I'll go with it.
Football is always good with me, but Joe. Basketball in the state of Kentucky is the greatest high school basketball sport in the world. Is in Kentucky.
There it is.
This is it. This is where it's at, and we are just 2 weeks away.
A couple of weeks, man,
from district playoffs. Which, man, you and I have talked about if history repeats itself, right? We would see. Again, if history repeated itself, if we would see a Warren Central Bowling Green district championship. However, man, this year it just seems like there are a couple of other teams in this district that could really vie for a championship, possibly other than those two teams, because they have the potential to win those games, as we've seen.
There's some talent outside of those two teams.
Yes,
for sure. I still think the most of the thought process is still pushing towards a Dragons Purples rematch, but there's some teams that could play spoiler for sure.
So, if we were to tease this next segment, which by the way we've got a ton to unpack in this show, we really want to bring our viewers up to speed on the 4th Region basketball.
Kind of a state of the union of the 4th Region, if you will.
Yes, our state of the union.
Yeah.
So if we were to tease the 14th district going into the next segment, how would we do it?
Well, I'd say this, Doug. I think your 4 and 5 seed are set, but there's one game coming up that's going to determine the top spot. We can talk about that in a bit.
All right. That's a great lead-in. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, more of the Sporting Times on WNKY NBC 40.
As far as engagement rings, or any ring for that matter, or any piece of jewelry, there's nothing that we probably cannot do.
Every engagement ring imaginable is available here. We not only have in-stock pieces, but we also make custom-made jewelry. Anything that they are seeing in a mall-type setting, we can absolutely reproduce it if we don't already have it in stock. I will say we're very personable here.
We try to make it very special for everybody.
Leachman Buick GMC is the #1 GMC dealership in Kentucky and multiple winner of the GM Mark of Excellence Award, and just recently achieved the #1 ranking as the most trusted GM service department in the Southeast United States. If something isn't right with your vehicle, no matter the make or model, just give Leachman a call. We offer a 15-minute diagnosis at no charge. Schedule your next visit at LeachmanAuto.com and discover why generations of customers choose Leachman Buick GMC.
Planes and trains, cars and guitars, caves and waves, rails and trails, thrills and chills. charm, and farms. We could keep going for days, and that's just what it would take to see and do everything in the Bowling Green area. As the home of the Corvette, we sure love our fast cars, but the city offers so much more that we think you'll be surprised by how much is happening here. The icing on the Duncan Hines cake is that we're geared for couples, families, and groups with this many options. For more information, go to visitbgky.com.
Welcome back to the show. Doug Thompson, Joe Brunk, and as promised, we're going to break down 4th Region basketball on the boys and the girls side as we are just 2 weeks away from districts starting up around the state, Joe. You teased it.
Yeah.
You talked a little bit about the 4-5 spot being determined. Who is in the 4-5 spot?
Well, I think you can safely assume that you're going to have South Warren and Warren East in that 4-5 matchup. I think South's kind of locked in at the 4. East is in there at the 5. So I think you've got those safely in those spots with a couple weeks ago. Now, South's got the chance. East has a chance against Warren Central. They've got, I think, 2 games against them still. But looking at how the season has gone, you can kind of make the assumptions that those 2 teams are kind of in their spot. And we've got a decent picture of what the top looks like because it's all down to one game. That game coming up on Valentine's Day. Of all days, Doug.
Someone's heart's going to be broken.
Yep, someone's heart's going to be broken. It's Warren Central versus Greenwood at Warren Central. Now, when this game was at Greenwood, it went to overtime. Central was able to pull it out in OT. If Warren Central wins it, they get the sweep over Greenwood. They have a split with Bowling Green. They've got the better district record. Warren Central would be your number 1 seed. If Greenwood wins it, it's a 3-way tie between Greenwood, Warren Central, and Bowling Green because they all will have split their series with each other. And it would be the first time that we've had a 3-way tie since 2013. And in that year, Bowling Green and Warren Central played in the first round.
Wow. So how do you determine if there is a 3-way tie? By the way, Greenwood has played very, very well
They're a good team.
against the top echelon around the region. And they have got some wins. They defeated Bowling Green.
Yeah, beat Bowling Green at Greenwood. They, again, took Central into overtime. They've played some pretty, they got Bardstown in the West Strader this weekend. Probably look pretty good there. They're a good team and a team that can catch fire and beat a lot of squads. And so they're a dangerous team. And if they end up in that 2-3 matchup, whoever's locked in there with them is not going to be feeling too comfortable because it's win or go home.
Exactly. And what's interesting is that the districts are at South Warren High School. So South Warren has played really well on their home court as well. Yeah. So, they are very athletic. They have played very good this year. Their record doesn't reflect, I think, as good as they are, so to speak. But it's almost a nail biter this year. It just seems like there are teams out there that can get the big win, maybe the big upset. How do you determine if it is a 3-way tie? How do they determine, do they pull straws?
Pretty sure it's just kind of a blind draw, coin flip, kind of a number draw to figure out who it is. At least that's what they did back in 2013 when it was Warren East. That was a weird year because Warren East swept Central, Central swept Bowling Green, and Bowling Green swept East. And so it was a 3-way tie in that regard. East won the number 1 seed. Tournament was at Greenwood. Central beat Bowling Green in the first round, went on to win the region, and Greenwood beat East in the first round. So East still couldn't get to the regional tournament from it. Greenwood made the trip, and that was it was a crazy year, but it was another Central run, and that was the year before Bowling Green went on their run where they won like 4 straight region titles, including that state title run.
And when you look at Bowling Green and Warren Central, the 2 teams that have kind of dominated over the years, you look at Bowling Green, they had 15 straight wins before the recent loss last week to Warren Central. Warren Central has had, I think, 9 or 10 straight wins. I mean, these teams, they find their groove late in February. I mean, they're playing their best ball. And all of these teams have great scores. I mean, they have guys that can take over games. You and I spoke before the show. Dre Boyd is one of them for Warren Central.
Yeah.
Scored 20 of 23 points against the Purples last week.
Scored 20 of the Dragons' 23 points in the third quarter, basically single-handedly bringing them back in that game. And then defense kind of locked it down in the fourth quarter for Warren Central. So, yeah, they've got a kid who can take over. Bowling Green's got some guys who can score well.
Greenwood.
Greenwood has three guys who, when we were trying to pick our all-region team in mid-season, there's three of them that you kind of juggled about and said, okay, well, which one do you go with? And you just kind of plug one in and go with it. But, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when you're talking about picking an Sporting Times all-region team, it's hard because you can't have 15 guys on the team.
Mm-hmm.
So you really, you got to look at a lot of different, stats or whatever to determine. But we could have had 15. I mean, there are that many.
I could have figured out 15.
Yeah, you could have got 15.
I could have found a way.
So it's very interesting. The 14th district, I think, is going to be very dynamic. I think there's going to be a lot of interest in this district tournament this year. With some of the unknowns, with some of the close plays. When you look outside of the 14th district, Joe, and you look at the 15th district, Barron is having a really nice season this year. ACS has got talent, but they just haven't been able to find their groove, been able to get, Metcalfe County out of the 16th district has had some really strong wins this year. Clinton County has rebounded nicely after graduating a couple superstars from their roster. But, and before I get to the but, Logan County out of the 13th district has been doing very well. But it's got to go through the 14th district.
I think so. But, I mean, let's look a little deeper at those teams that you just mentioned about. Logan County has had a really good year. They added the Nazario kid, who has been a fantastic addition, and now they've got kind of a three-headed monster that makes them very, very dangerous. And then you look at, who's played them close? Barron County took them right down to the wire. They're fundamentally sound. Bandy's a solid kid, but Niken is the guy that makes it go for them.
Excellent athlete.
He's a solid athlete and has improved his ability to score the ball this season compared to last season. I think he's improved in that, and while doing a lot of other things as well. You look at Glasgow; they were the team we were looking at the beginning of the year. Injuries have caught them, but I mean, Sorrell's still excellent.
Yep.
He is really, really good. As long as Franklin can stay healthy and run with them, that's a dynamic duo that's going to be tough to beat. I'm looking kind of Barron and Glasgow coming out of the 15th. ACS, that's the head scratcher of this year.
Yeah.
Because when you look at last year, they were a team to watch and a team that many thought could come out and in fact beat Warren Central in the 2A tournament, right? But they lose Brett Rippey, and
it's just they haven't got
they just haven't found the rhythm. But they beat Greenwood at Greenwood this year, so they still have kids. Mason Shirley and Nolan Stamper and Jax Cooper. They can play, and if those three can put together a solid game against one of those other teams, all they got to do is one. They get one of those, they can find themselves in Diddle again, and who knows? And then the 16th, just toss it up.
Yeah.
I think you could put Clinton in there. Metcalfe can score, but I'm pretty sure I saw Cumberland County beat them not too long ago. And so who knows out of the 16th, but once they get to Diddle, I'm not sure how long those guys are going to be able to stand against who they're going to be meeting up against.
Logan County 19-3. There's a lot of teams outside of the 14th district with really impressive records. The difference, Joe, I think, is that, the 14th district top echelon teams are playing some of the toughest competition in the state throughout the season. And I think that just makes them prepared better and playing better talent.
Yeah.
So, we'll see. I mean, it's nothing gets won on paper. It's going to have to be done on the hard court. District tournament starts in just a couple of weeks for the 14th district and all the different districts as well. The 4th region tournament The best 8 teams will be there. So I can't wait to see how it unfolds.
Doug's saying that one with his tongue firmly planted in his cheek.
Well, we've talked about this
saying.
before, but you got to check out our podcast if you
Yeah.
want to understand why I say that. But it is going to be a lot of fun. I cannot wait. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, Joe, we're going to talk a little bit about the girls basketball. And man, there is a superstar team out there.
Yeah.
That is really rolling and going. So we'll have to see how they do. But anyway, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, more of the Sporting Times on WNKY, NBC
As far as
40.
engagement rings or any ring for that matter, or any piece of jewelry, there's nothing that we probably cannot do.
Every engagement ring imaginable is available here. We not only have in-stock pieces, but we also make custom-made jewelry. Anything that they are seeing in a mall-type setting, we can absolutely reproduce it if we don't already have it in stock. I will say we're very personable here.
We try to make it very special for everybody.
Leachman Buick GMC is the #1 GMC dealership in Kentucky and multiple winner of the GM Mark of Excellence Award, and just recently achieved the #1 ranking as the most trusted GM service department in the Southeast United States. If something isn't right with your vehicle, no matter the make or model, just give Leachman a call. We offer a 15-minute diagnosis at no charge. Schedule your next visit at LeachmanAuto.com and discover why generations of customers choose Leachman Buick GMC.
Welcome back to the show. Well, we just recapped the 4th region, spent a little bit more time on the 14th district. But Joe, now as we turn our attention to the 4th region girls, we start the 14th district, we start with the 14th district. There is one team that certainly has separated themselves from the majority of the 4th region.
Yeah.
And that's the Bowling Green Purples.
Yeah, they're looking pretty good, my man. They are winning games, and not only are they winning, they're running away with them when it comes to games in the 4th region. I mean, Barron County has routinely been the team that's ranked right behind them by most standards.
They are.
And they've beaten them twice by double figures, right? You look at just anybody that's been thrown in Bowling Green's way as far as in the region is concerned, they've handled their business. Like Coach Ed's got them just, it's a well-oiled machine. They've got inside presence. They've got great guard play. They run the floor well, and they just make the shots that they need to make. And that's something sometimes in girls basketball that you don't see as often. But with the elite teams, with the good teams, they do. And Bowling Green is one of those good teams that they make their shots.
Well, and sometimes it's uncommon to see 3 players in double digits. And they have that with Jones, James, and Shelton. They're all in double digits. One of the things that impresses me about the Lady Purples is that they're averaging just about 20 points better in scoring than they're allowing in any of their games. So that's a really nice margin.
And it's predicated on their defense. And again, it's not that they're scoring like tons and tons of points. They're probably averaging right around 60, maybe a little under 60 points per game. But their defense is just so good, and their guards are just so good at forcing turnovers that the other teams just aren't able to score. And even if they do get the shot up, players like, LaKayla James can lock down on the glass. She can rebound well. Meadow Tisdale rebounds the ball well. That's something that we don't talk about a lot because she's not averaging in double digits in scoring, but she's probably, in the range of like 8 and 7, 8.7 rebounds a game, and is just a super athlete. And you look at Kiasen Jones and what she's able to do. Nia Shelton's, racking up points as a freshman or a sophomore. This is a young team that is already excelling in this region. It may be a little bit before somebody catches up to them.
Yeah, and we don't, obviously, there's a lot of basketball that needs to be played, but when you have a team that consistently, from the beginning of the season all the way to present, Joe, that has really dominated. And like you said, there's just so many variables that you have to try to match up with them. And they rebound, they shoot well, the transition, they press, they do everything very well. And so, some of the other top stories as we look into the 14th district, I think is Warren East, the Lady Raiders. I think that is a great storyline to this basketball season. Lucy Patterson is just having a fantastic season. She's averaging about 17 points per game, almost a double-double. She's just a little shy of 10 rebounds per game, but they're having a really, really good season. And they've had to work hard to get there because it's been a while since they have been this competitive in the 4th region.
Yeah, and I think it's going to come down. I mean, it could come down to them and South Warren, as to who's going to be that other team out of the 14th district. I'm curious to see. Now, I mean, Warren Central's kind of come out of nowhere and beaten a few of them. I mean, they beat Greenwood and have played well against some other teams as well. I mean, East could very well find themselves at Diddle, which is a place that they haven't been in quite some time, and what a story that would be.
Yeah, that would be fantastic. And when we look outside of the 14th district, what about Russell County? They have 3 young ladies that are in double digits as well. Markham, Bulk, and Elkins, all in double-digit scoring. Again, Joe, we have said this year after year, they're kind of like Bigfoot. You hear about them, but you never really see them. And Russell County, they're making noise over there. Always seem to put a very competitive team on the floor. I see them as a team that gets out of the 16th district. We'll see them at Diddle Arena, and you just never know because we don't see them enough. But again, what we've seen out of Bowling Green in the competition that they've played this year, very impressive.
Yeah.
When you look out of the 13th district, Joe, you've got Logan County and Russellville. Both are kind of middle of the pack of the 4th region, kind of down, I would say, this year.
Yeah, I think a lot of people imagine Logan County would maybe be a little bit more competitive because they still have kind of their big 3 pieces from last season. They didn't lose those, bringing those back in, but they just haven't been able to get kind of in a rhythm. They did beat Russellville, so they're probably the favorite coming out of the 13th. It'll just be curious to see how they compete, and that all comes down to draw, to be honest. I mean, if you get to the region, but you end up drawing, one of the top teams, but just happen to be the runner-up in their district, well, then your run might be cut a little shorter than normal.
Right.
I think Russell County, like you said, is a team to watch. I kind of have them at number 2, just mostly because of what I've seen Bowling Green do to Barron County. Yeah. And then I've got Barron County 3. Glasgow's a team that I think has improved as the season has gone along.
Well, they've got Atwell and Gore, both Gore's 17 points per game. I think Atwell's about 13.9. So they're a young team too. I mean, they're coming on, like you say.
Yeah, they're a team that's improved as the season's gone along. So you can't quite sleep on Glasgow. They could be a team to watch out of the 15th, but I think you've got Bowling Green, you've got a drop off, and then you've got a little cluster of teams in Barron, Russell, Glasgow, and you may be able to sneak in East and South into that picture as well.
Yeah, it's very interesting, and one of my favorite times of the year, other than the entire football season, is high school basketball right around this time, Joe.
Yeah.
Because, you've been broadcasting basketball for probably a decade now, close to it.
Close to it, right on it.
And you have seen some things that no matter what you thought going into it, isn't the way that it ended up. And, nail biters, overtimes, triple overtimes, quadruple overtimes, whatever, you've seen it. So you know that it is just super exciting.
Oh, I mean, district and region tournaments they're so much fun. And then, to see whoever gets to win the region and they get to go to state and get to play at Rupp Arena is
the Holy Grail.
Something special. It really is. I still remember the first time I got to go to cover Bowling Green. I almost took off my shoes when I got there because that's holy ground, Doug.
I know it is. I know it is. All right, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, we are going to tell you if you cannot make it to these games, if you're traveling out of state, if you have relatives that want to watch these great student athletes play, we're going to let you know how you can do it. Stay tuned. More of the Sporting Times right here on WNKY NBC 40.
Planes and trains, cars and guitars, caves and waves, rails and trails, thrills and chills. charm, and farms. We could keep going for days, and that's just what it would take to see and do everything in the Bowling Green area. As the home of the Corvette, we sure love our fast cars, but the city offers so much more that we think you'll be surprised by how much is happening here. The icing on the Duncan Hines cake is that we're geared for couples, families, and groups with this many options. For more information, go to visit WNKY.com.
Hey, I'm Dave Stumbo, owner at Toyota Bowling Green. If you're looking for a new or used vehicle, what would a lifetime warranty be worth? Ask your dealer for a free warranty for life. When they say no, come to Toyota Bowling Green, where nearly 100% of every car and truck has a free lifetime powertrain warranty. Why? Because we only have the best. Toyota Bowling Green, where we make you number one.
Welcome back. Well, Joe, if I'm traveling during the districts, or if I want to see what games are going to be televised, how do you figure that out?
Well, first of all, if you're traveling during this time, shame on you. No, I'm
True.
just I'm just
Do
kidding.
not travel.
But if you got to, I mean, you do what you got to do. But if you want to catch the games, it's super easy to do. stfanclub.com is the place to go. But it's been remodeled. Got a new look. We're adding more stuff to it every day.
We are.
So it used to be you put that in and boom, you're there at the live stream and you're good to go. Now you got a little extra work to do.
Yep.
There's some links across the top. And it can confuse you.
You got to click live stream.
There's guys like Doug that might get a little lost.
That's right.
We got to make it clear for you. There's watch.
Yes, right.
And there's live stream.
Two options.
Two options. Now watch will take you to looking at highlight reels. We'll take you to replays of this show if we put those up. That's where you can catch those. But if you want to catch any games, those you click on the live stream link, and that will take you to our player, which will have the games that are scheduled to be live. And then there's a tab for the on demand. So if you miss a game, want to go back and watch it, you just click that one and you're good to go.
Yeah, and we want these gyms packed. We want everybody to be there that can be there, but if you cannot, like for instance, I have a nephew that plays basketball in Michigan. Right? He's a superstar. I would love to watch him play.
Yeah.
They don't have this. So I have to drive to Michigan to watch it. If you have a relative out of state, they can watch your son or daughter or niece or nephew or whomever it might be, grandson, granddaughter, live on stfanclub.com, Joe.
Yeah.
And you can see the full calendar of events coming up. We encourage you to check it out. It is a lot of fun, Joe. And of course, next week on this show, Penny Reese will be our guest.
That's going to be fun.
Had a great conversation with her, just inducted into the Greenwood Hall of Fame. She is the second most winningest softball coach in the state of Kentucky, and she's number one as far as active coaches. But she's right on the heels of being number one overall, and I think she'll get there. So, Joe, it's been a lot of fun. I'll see you over at the courts.
That's where I'll be.
Not playing, but I'll be seeing you there. Have a great week, a great weekend, and catch us here every Saturday from 6 to 6:30 on WNKY. For Doug Thompson,
I'm Joe Brunk.
Have a great week.
As far as engagement rings, or any ring for that matter, or any piece of jewelry, there's nothing that we probably cannot do.
Every engagement ring imaginable is available here. We not only have in-stock pieces, but we also make custom-made jewelry. Anything that they are seeing in a mall-type setting, we can absolutely reproduce it if we don't already have it in stock. I will say we're very personable here.
We try to make it very special for everyone.